Well, at least for the moment, we're getting some pretty nice solar. Got 17 coming in from the Outback, 21 in from the Go Power. It's not bad. That will help a lot. In fact, that's almost the largest amount of solar I've seen in almost a month in one day. So maybe the sun will hold out for an afternoon and we'll get some solar finally. Heading into this weekend, we're going to be starting what I would call a big project. It's not as big as the house, but this is not going to be something that's going to be done in an afternoon. And actually, I'm going to admit right now, I've been very stressed out about this. So here we have 33 yards of drain rock. This is river rock that they wash for this exact purpose. It is very expensive because it's a washed product, and they actually have to harvest it from the river. This is what we use around here for drainage. It's the common thing. Every area has their thing. I'll tell you that right now. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory. When we were building our ICF walls, we had a strategy that said if we can get 2 rows of ICF block built, we then can start to backfill the drainage system. So we built 2 courses of ICF block, and then we laid our foundation drain in. We put our moisture barrier on, our membrane. We did all of those steps because we excavated very close to this hillside. And we knew that getting back in here to backfill would be very difficult. At least that's how we planned it. I understand that not everyone builds houses this way. Our concrete guy basically just implored us to make the least amount of work for ourselves necessary. He said for every foot you dig, you're gonna have to put that rock back. So dig as little as you can. To help ease the backfill problem, as well as to stabilize the hillside, we wanted to get some backfill in here before we moved on to the next phases of construction. And actually, let me back up. We wanted to do it because it was easy to do when there wasn't a house here. We were able to drive the backhoe inside the foundation and actually dump over the back wall drain rock. But the concern from our engineers was that if we backfill too high, too early, there may be some movement in the foundation, which we didn't want. So we made a conservative compromise. We put 22 yards of drain rock in over the back wall. There's a restriction there. Inside, there's a buttress where that gully is. We could not get the backhoe against the wall because the buttress sticks into the garage. So here, we could drive the backhoe up, and there we could drive the backhoe up. And we were concerned about the stability of this hillside. When I say concerned, I don't mean we were worried. I mean, it's just good common sense not to have this large hillside exposed for too long without something to help stabilize it. So that was the reason we only partially backfilled this area back here. We didn't know when the rains came whether all this excavated area would be stable or not. And I can tell you now, it's freaking stable. We also have quite a bit of fill necessary on the west wall. If you recall from our house building videos, before we were able to pour the slab, our plumbing inspector required us to replace our water main because we had a connection underneath the slab. So we had to undermine our footing and replace the water line, which also involved removing all the drain rock around that area. Thankfully, we had not gotten very far. So that's kind of the status of the backfill around the foundation. We need to get this done before winter. We do not want our foundation to freeze and have some sort of heaving or frost issues. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a very challenging project for me. I'm not an expert equipment operator, and I don't feel super comfortable on inclines. This hill gets progressively steeper the farther we go. In fact, on the east side over there, it's quite steep, and it's off camber. It's not that it's steep in one axis. It's just tilted. These are challenges that we took on when we decided to build into the hillside. And so we're going to have to learn to work in these environments or these conditions. I knew when we put our water system in that I wanted to have room to get equipment through here, which is why we did not move the house closer. Our water system runs right down through here, and I think, or actually I know, I'm pretty confident that I can get a mini excavator through here. I'm gonna have to backfill a couple of these stairs, just cover them over with dirt and make myself a path so that I can get behind here. And I think if I backfill my way in, that'll give me a platform to ride the excavator on. I may have to get a little more creative on the backside. I've not spent enough time on a skid steer to feel really confident in really tight spaces and on steeper inclines. But that probably wouldn't be a bad tool for this job. I just don't have enough time on one, and I don't want to learn on this project. This bucket on our backhoe is a 1 yard bucket, which means it would take me only 33 trips, in theory, to empty all that rock. That's why we used the backhoe and backfilled earlier, because it was easy. 22 yards only took me about an hour and a half to dump all that rock. On the mini excavator, we have a clean out bucket, and I don't remember the calculations on it, but one of those buckets is like a 40th of this bucket, which means instead of 30 trips, this would take me 250 trips. I'm hoping I can find a way to move some rock with the backhoe and move the rest with the mini. Looking pretty dirty. Well, I'm slowly finding a plan. It's not going perfectly, but my goal is to slope the drain rock away from the house. I can't backfill that down there completely yet because our sewer main still needs to be installed. We are probably going to outsource that, probably would have been nice to have that done by now, but it just didn't happen. And then of course we would have been able to backfill over it completely. The good news is I can reach that area with the backhoe. I'm not too worried about that. So just trying to kind of get a feel for getting this rock in here and you know what the Mini's capable of. It's very hard to tell. The camera just doesn't do justice to any of this stuff, but got a pretty narrow spot that I'm climbing through. On camera that looks like it's not even hardly a slope at all, and it's probably over 30 degrees, which isn't that big of a deal, but definitely makes working a little more challenging. My goal is to get up here with the Mini, and then after that I'm not really sure. Once I've got this backfilled, I feel like I can get up in here and then I can reach that direction and backfill and keep going that way. The only thing is I don't really have a plan for how to get the rock up here. Getting the Mini down through this narrow spot through here with all that dirt, I think I'm going to end up just having to backfill the entire lower portion of these stairs so I've got a nice ramp, and then some other day we'll have to dig out the stairs. We actually want to replace these stairs anyway. They were a fun project, but we screwed them up royally. So I'm kind of learning as I go here, kind of stretching my excavator skills, learning to pull the excavator up the hill with the bucket instead of the tracks, little things like that.
How's it looking?
Well, I made myself a road, so that's a start. I just feel bad for the soul that has to dig out our stairs. So yeah, I'm just trying to like, the problem now I have is I can't figure out how to get rock up there so that I can put it behind there. So I'm just kind of testing some stuff. Like, I know I can put rock right here. I've already put like 4 yards of rock, 5 or 6 yards of rock back there. But I don't really want to be running up and down this with the excavator. It's not bad, it's just time consuming. So it'd be faster if I could put the backhoe up there and then put a load of rock up there, and then I could move rock, you know. So I'm just kind of screwing around with this, trying to figure out. Thankfully it's not raining at the moment, otherwise this would just be...
Was it raining?
Yeah, it rained
really?
Earlier. Otherwise this would just be a mud pit.
Yep.
So I'm gonna mess around with this for a few more minutes. Otherwise, actually, it's going really fast. I backfilled from right here all the way around the corner. That clean out bucket's probably, yeah, it's probably 4 to 1, something like that, quarter yard. I mean, maybe something like that. But if you can get the rock to the excavator, it actually goes really fast. If you have to drive the excavator to the rock, I'll be here all month. Problem is, like, even down here, I keep picking up dirt. Like, no matter how precise I am with the backhoe, I keep picking up dirt and I keep sticking it in there. I don't know if it even matters or not. It probably doesn't. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So I'm trying to keep the rock clean, I guess. So that's my predicament.
Have you given any thought as to how I can help? I haven't looked at the to-do list in a week or more.
Well, like,
I've been head down in video.
Yeah, like right now, I have to keep getting off the Mini to get rock. So if I can find a reliable way, the problem is, like, it's gonna just keep getting harder and harder. Like, you'd have to feel comfortable driving the backhoe way up on that hill and dumping rock. But even if you had the backhoe full of rock and I could just drive it up there or something, you know,
yep.
Instead of me having to get down and go get rock, get up, go put the rock, like, it'll save me a little bit of time. And then we need to slope the rock away from the house and then put the Tyvek up over the rock. So that somebody down the ground can do that versus me having to get off the excavator all the time. So yeah, there's lots of work to be done out here. And add in the fact that it's 2:30, we got less than an hour and a half of daylight. So help would be good. Help me get farther today. So far this is actually working, so I kind of weaseled my way in here, made somewhat of a flat spot. I need to work on that a little bit. What I'm thinking is if I backfill this row here, I can get our Tyvek laid over and then lay another piece of Tyvek to kind of gutter the water away from the house. So first I got to get the rock in here, and then you can see how I've sloped this away. And then we need to fill this up enough that we can slope it away. And that's all going to be invisible. It'll all be buried. But the goal is when the water hits it, it just wants to run away. In my mind, this rock, if you had a dream, this rock would never even get wet. This is not rock that is designed to make water go down. This rock, in my mind, is to keep hydraulic pressure from building up against the foundation, so that if water hits the foundation, it just wants to go down, because the space, the cavities between the rocks is so great that it can't build up pressure. Of course, at the bottom is a footing drain perforated pipe, and that whole system is just to keep hydraulic pressure from building up against the foundation. So we're going to do this in a way that makes sense to me. And I want basically that rock to never get wet. So we're gonna lay Tyvek. First, we're gonna lap this over as best we can. And then we're gonna lay a row of Tyvek going the other way. And then we're gonna backfill over that Tyvek. So that water, if water gets down here from shoveling the deck or the roof sliding or whatever the problem is, it's more likely to run out here and then into the dirt. And if anything, it'll hit the backside of this Tyvek and find its way to the ground. Kind of came up with a method where I built a little bit of a trough in my ramp. It's not very good, but then I can bring the backhoe up here and dump myself a yard or two of rock, and then I can pick it up and obviously put it back there. I think this is going to work pretty good, because even once I get this back here, my plan is to be able to turn the tracks on the backhoe and go that way, and I can run back and forth behind the house like this. But I know now that from right here, I can actually reach this pile of rock, which I can fill with the backfill, or the backhoe. So hopefully this system's gonna work.
Incredible. It's December 1st, and we've decided that we're still gonna try to do one video a day this month. We kind of take it month by month, but our goal is not to do 2 videos a day, which is what we've been doing for almost the last week. Literally, that's all I have time for. Today was a 1 video day, and here it is. I'm not really able to help Jesse until an hour before it's dark outside, which is very unfortunate. That said, being out here, I'm really just out of sorts with what I need to be doing, but I really do miss property work. I enjoy working with Jesse. I don't like that he has the burden of property development on his shoulders right now. That said, we'll see if we can work together and get the most out of the excavator this weekend. stuff has been a pain in our rear since the day we unrolled it. Cannot wait to have this foundation backfilled. Time to roll her over?
Tie back?
Yeah.
Almost.
That's about all you get. It's gonna be pretty nice to have this flat back here.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw some dirt on here and then we're done.
Okay.
I feel like I got a system going. It's working.
I think we can work together on this tomorrow. I think if I have rock supplied and dump that, and I unroll this and I shovel, you can stay on the equipment.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit of work. I realize now that we're gonna have to change the shape of this hillside to something like this.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
I don't think that's bad.
We'll probably take a lot of that soil and drag it this way, which will work out good because it will end up building up the depth of this.
Right.
So we'll spread that out. So we'll end up moving this excavation back a notch, which is, oh, that's fine. That's good.
Yep.
I don't mind having dirt up to here. You'll be able to walk right into the house at that point.
Oh yeah, well I don't think we have enough dirt for that, but...
Well, yeah, well, it'll be close. Probably
I mean,
like this.
we can reshape that hillside if we want, but...
We have to, yeah, because I can't get the mini over there, so... Yeah, this is working out okay.
Nice work.
Too.
You're in the way, Cannon. Alyssa's in the way too.
So this is going pretty good. It's definitely gonna take all weekend. So I got that all backfilled with rock. We need to kind of clean that up and slope all that stuff. Might need maybe one more bucket of rock, and that all needs to be kind of sloped away from the house maybe tomorrow. We'll Tyvek that, and then we can put some dirt on it. The dirt will just kind of stabilize it so we don't have to do anything with it right now. Eventually, all this water system stuff, we'll either have to build a retaining wall around it, or it's actually fine because it's all designed to be well above ground. So we can,
Right, the only problem is that if you backfill too much, now you're having to bend over to turn the water off.
True, yeah. Well, I mean, as far as like that platform right there, we might build a little retaining wall around that platform so that the platform stays the same height, but you might backfill the dirt around all the hydrants and whatnot. Just gives them that much more frost protection. But that's another project for another day.